Today's edition of Mac Voices is brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron delivers fresh ingredients and recipes to your door so you can cook something new and interesting tonight. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by visiting blueapron.com/MacVoices. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. And by MacVoices Magazine, our free Flipboard magazine that brings you some of the best Mac, iPhone, and iPad productivity tips on the web. High in signal, low in noise, just like MacVoices, MacVoices Magazine includes information on how you can get more out of your Apple technology. Subscribe at macvoices.com/magazine or search for MacVoices Magazine on Flipboard. Welcome to Mac Notables on Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we're back into doing firsts for 2017, and so for the first time in 2017, we have Bob Dr. Mac LeVitus with us. Bob, it's great to see you.
It's great to be here.
Congratulations.
A lot of firsts.
Yeah, congratulations on making it to 2017.
When you're my age, congratulations are in order.
Well, I wasn't even talking about the age thing. It's just in general, the stress of life.
Oh, gosh. Well, and let's not go there.
Yeah, let's not. We have so many things to catch up on because it's been a while since we've talked. That's
first
one.
Word from our sponsor, the Johnny Ive and Johnny Ive dental care product. No, it's actually AirPods. They're little earphone things in their case. The sticker cost extra.
Yeah, I'm sure. Now, that's as good a place as any to start, Bob.
I thought so.
What is your impression of the AirPods?
I really think they're well done. They talk about them being magical. I've had lots of wireless headphones, and most of them, every time I'm going to use them, it's kind of like I cross my fingers that I'm not going to have to spend the first 10 minutes turning Bluetooth on and off and pairing and unpairing and tapping or untapping or connecting and unconnecting. It's just most Bluetooth devices today are fine if they're the only thing you use. But as soon as you bring the second or third or fourth thing in, or try to move one device from an iPhone to a Mac or from an iPhone to an iPad, that you run into trouble. And these really have pretty much done away with that. When you first open the case up near your iPhone, a little thing slides up from the bottom and says, "Hey, look, I see some AirPods. Are those yours? They have this much battery. And do you want to pair them? Okay, cool. And then once that's done, all your other Apple devices that are using iCloud know about them. So like I opened up Bluetooth on my iPad to try them, and I didn't have to first look for them and tap them to bring them into Bluetooth. They were already in, and all I did was tap them and they started. And it's pretty nice. They stop when you pull one of them out. So when I'm walking the dog, that's really nice. I'm out walking the dog and I'm listening to a podcast. I meet someone on the street. I pull one out and drop it in my pocket, and the music stops or the podcast stops. And when I'm done talking to the person, I put it back in and it starts back up again, which is the way it should be. Other ones say they do that, like when you take them off. But I'll take some of them. I'll take them off, and I'll hear the podcast going. It's like, no, you're supposed to stop when you're not on top of my head. And then the one other thing is they're surprising. I don't care for the wired version of those. I don't think they're that comfortable, and they just don't seem to fit that well. These are different. I hardly notice them in my ear, and they sound really good. I have a couple other pairs of wireless headsets that I'm testing, and I put these up there, with the best sounding of them, and they have one other really good feature, and that is a lot of Bluetooth headsets are no good for video. They're out of sync by its nature. The way Dave explained it on Mac Geek Gab not too long ago, but there's so many millisecond delay, and it causes the lips to move at a different rate than the sound you're hearing, and it's very jarring. You wouldn't want to watch a movie that way. And these are just spot on. I put a movie on my iPhone or my iPad, and the lips are in perfect sync. A lot of the other Bluetooth headphones, you couldn't watch a movie. I mean, unless you're okay with the lips kind of moving like a bad dubbed movie. Yeah. Not my cup of soup. They are a little pricey, but all things considered, they did a lot of things way better than most of the existing technology.
So two things there. First of all, there's the inevitable question of, do they fall out of your ears? Because that's one of the problems that a lot of us have had with the regular wired earbuds.
No, isn't that something? The wired ones wouldn't stay in my ears. I couldn't use them when I walked because the walking would rattle them out. These, I've never had one fall out. I don't know what the deal is. I think maybe it's because they don't have wire pulling on them. They don't fall out. I did get another pair of really small wireless earphones. Can you see that?
Yeah. What's that?
This is called a Roken something. And I tried these when I was walking the dog, and one of them popped out of my ear while I was walking and like was rolling towards the drain. I thought, oh, great. So yeah, I think Apple did it right. The price, when you look at the price of other wireless headphones from name brand manufacturers, Bose or Beats, or a couple $100 is pretty much $200, a little under $200 is kind of like the sweet spot for a good sounding set of earphones. So at $169, I think it's a considered purchase. I'm not sure most people need this, but it really is kind of liberating to have something you can just look at and say, oh yeah, I want to listen to music. You pull it out, put it on, and music starts. And that is really, I've been using these a lot more than I use most of the other ones when I'm testing them, just because it's convenient.
Well, now that's one of the other question I wanted to ask. Is there a way to listen to them specifically for podcasts with only one in?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So, I
mean, you can use it to talk on the phone with only one in.
Okay. I would think.
But when you're listening to music and you take one out, it knows. Or when you're listening to a podcast and you take one out, that it's the sensor. It also makes a noise when you insert it in your ear, so that you know that it knows it's in your ear. It goes ding to kind of let you know it's seated and it knows it's in an ear now, which is kind of cool.
Okay. So this is something that you would recommend for pretty much anyone at this point?
I think anybody that's, wants something wireless and convenient and unobtrusive and just kind of, you forget about them. That's what's cool. I'll go out to walk the dog and I'll put them in and they don't get in my way. They don't fall out. They don't. I had a little bit of dropping out issue where it would I'd miss a word or two the first couple days, and I read somewhere to reset it with this button thing, and after that, I haven't had any more dropouts. So it's they seem to have a longer distance than a lot of the Bluetooth headsets. A lot of the Bluetooth headsets have a very short throw. It's like I can't get more than about 20 feet from my phone. If I walk 2 rooms away, forget it. The headset, can't hear it.
Yeah.
This, I'm getting 2 rooms pretty easily, or 20 feet in my house. With other Bluetooth headsets, I wouldn't put the phone in another room and walk away. With this, I can walk into the next room and even into the room behind that room and still stay connected.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's not something. Maybe somebody's written that up in their review, but I hadn't heard about the range.
I'm going to have to measure. I don't know if there's a way. I don't even know if there's anything that measures how much signal I'm getting. But it seems like they go farther than a lot of the other ones. It could just be my imagination. But I've left my phone in here and walked around and not gotten cut off. Whereas the other one, if I go to the garage while I'm wearing any of the other headsets, before I get to the garage, they're disconnected. And I'm pretty sure these have stayed connected to the garage, out into the garage, and then back. And that seems like more than most of the others. I will, before I write a review, I will test that further and see if I can get some kind of quantifiable measurement.
It's interesting that this is another one of those examples, and this is purely a perception of mine, that Apple announced these things, and I know there were Bluetooth earbuds out there before, but they were expensive. You either didn't hear about them, or when you did hear about them, the results seemed to be pretty much disappointing. Apple announced these, and they've gotten pretty darn good reviews across the board. There are a couple other options now that have popped up that also are allegedly pretty good. I have not tried them.
Me either.
It's just, what is it about when Apple says, oh, we're going to do it right, then all of a sudden the tech world kind of focuses on it and says, oh yeah, we better do it right too, or Apple's going to own this market completely.
It's interesting because there are a lot of major players that had wireless earphones out before these. And yeah, it never caught on because I think the Bluetooth side of it inherently is weak. And from what I understand, it's even worse on an Android. You know, it's like as inconvenient as it can be on Apple stuff, it's even worse on an Android, in an Android world. So I don't know, you know. I think Apple looked at what the pain points were. You know, what are people having trouble? Well, the headsets disconnect. They don't. They drop out. You know, you get audio dropouts. The sync issue with video is a problem. The one thing that I will complain about is you can only control them with Siri. You know, they don't have any like fast forward or rewind or play and pause. Actually, I think you can tap one to pause, but I'm not sure. You have to, yeah, you can, but then you have to, then you can't have Siri. It's like the tap is the only thing it knows, and that's either pause, play, or Siri. But if it's Siri, you can say, you know, fast forward 15 seconds or turn the volume up a little. But there's no inline control kind of thing. So I found it's easier to pull out my phone and use it if I need to navigate or do anything like that than to try to get Siri to understand what I mean. Like, you know, skip 3 songs forward on this album.
And that's what I was going to say. Let's be clear that that applies to voice commands. You still have the option, like you say, to pull out your phone or whatever and do the manual controls.
Yes, but a lot of other headsets either have touch controls. Like I have a pair of, what are those? Phiaton over the ear, and they've got a touchpad, so you can like swipe them. Okay. You know, fast forward, rewind, volume up, volume down. So I mean, that gives you a lot more control at your fingertips. It's not very precise, and some wired headsets have volume and next, previous, and play, pause. It just seems like there's not very much you can do with these other than pause and play, without pulling out the phone or asking Siri to do it, which can be fun sometimes.
Yeah. Do you find the accuracy is pretty good? In other words,
accuracy is great for Siri. Like if I say play music by the Beatles, she always gets the Beatles. I mean, it's not like she plays Elvis and says, here's some music by Elvis. Sometimes when I'm out in public and, you know, it's noisy and I ask for something, I get something completely different. If I'm wearing those, it's almost 100%. If she's around, she gets what I say. Play Frank Zappa.
She does.
Play, or in your honor, play Deep Purple.
There you go.
She'll do it. She knows who Deep Purple are.
Okay, well then, I guess maybe I need to put these on my list of things to get.
Well, if you've had other ones and been disappointed, the thing about these that I like is the things that make them more usable make me use them a lot more than I've used most of the other ones I've had. I mean, I've always got a pair of wireless headphones sitting around because there's always a pair that needs to be listened to consider for review in the future. You know, whether I'm gonna or not, there's always one. I got a bag full. Oh, these are all headsets because I'm testing them all. So there's always a bunch of these wireless headsets, and I try when I have more than one to alternate between them. Test this one, this one, this one. But lately, because these just work when I go out like for a walk, I don't want to test any of the other ones. I'm going to review these next, so I'm kind of favoring them. But yeah, I have no real incentive to use any of the other ones. A couple of them sound a little better, and a couple of them are over the ear if you prefer that. Which I don't. I love that this is really unobtrusive.
That might have been the best recommendation you could give in right there, that you have all the other options and this is the one you reach for.
Because it just works. And that's another Apple kind of hallmark, is it just works. And it really does. A lot more smoothly than a lot of the other options. They may not be the best sounding earphones ever, but they're really good sounding. And I don't have another pair here that are so much better audio-wise that, you know, I mean, I like better quality. music. If one pair sounded way better, I would want those. I would want to use those all the time, in spite of maybe inconveniences. But nothing sounds that much better that I would try, be inconvenienced. I will say I tried these Decibullz, though, the ones that you put in your ear and they mold. You take this thing and you boil it, and then you stuff it in your ear and put it together. It's very interesting because Dave has always told me how much better custom-made earphones are, custom ear molds, and how they isolate, sound so that you've got like a sealed, it's almost like having a big cup over your ear, but you've got a sealed space, so you get good deep bass out of a little teeny driver. So these are interesting Decibullz, only because up until this, you had to go make an appointment with an audiologist and, spend, I don't know, $100, $80, whatever, to get your molds made. And then you had to, find the right headphones that could be used with those molds, or have the molds made with headphones. I don't even know what you do. This is pretty convenient. You just buy the kit in the store, drop them in boiling water, press them in your ear, and you get a pretty nice molded headphone that's very custom, that seals right into your ear, so you get good low bass. But even though I have these and they sound pretty good, and they may be a little thumpier than the Apple, I haven't had them on in a week. Like you said, that's a good endorsement, because they're sitting in the same place, and the ones I keep grabbing are the white ones.
Yeah. Bob, personal interest question, and I have to ask because you and I have talked about this so often. How, if you use them for phone calls, one in an ear, how do they compare, you think, to some of the other Bluetooth earpieces that are dedicated and built for telephones or for phone calls?
Funny you should mention it. I have a, what are they called? Jawbone, whatever Jawbone's like last headset was, the noise canceling Jawbone headset. There, we'll put it up there so you can see it.
Is that the Era?
So, yeah, I think Era or Icon, whatever the one that was recent was. But I had this on my counter, sitting like where I could grab it to make phone calls. And a couple days ago, I tossed it in the drawer, because these are sitting out, and if I need to put it on a headset for a phone call, I trust these enough to pop one in. This I've had long enough that I trust it to be solid for a phone call's worth. But yeah, I don't know yet. By the time I write my review, I'll be able to say unequivocally, yeah, I don't use any of. I have one of these in the car also, and I haven't used it either. Mm-hmm. So I think it takes the place of this. And this was $75 or $90 or something. So
yeah, those are
it's not
cheap.
like, yeah, right. So at 160, but I get two. So if I lose one, I still have one.
Right. If that's your primary use case.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I like listening to music, but that's just me.
This edition of MacVoices is supported by Blue Apron. Fresh ingredients, delicious recipes. Blue Apron is a better way to cook. Blue Apron is not just about delicious food. Oh, of course, the food they deliver and the recipes they come with are indeed delicious. But Blue Apron goes way beyond that. One of their focuses is supporting a more sustainable food system, along with their model that offers you convenience and value. By partnering with over 150 local farms, fisheries, and ranchers across the United States, Blue Apron delivers seafood that is sourced sustainably, meat that is responsibly raised, and farmers that practice regenerative farming. Now that's a lot of buzz phrases, but they are all true. What they mean for you is that by using Blue Apron, you get great food now, and you will get great food in the future, both long-term and short-term. And because Blue Apron ships only what you need for each recipe, there's nothing left over and no food waste. That's something you can't say when you go to the supermarket and buy the portions they want to sell you, not necessarily the portions that you need. While you're cooking responsibly and deliciously, you're also doing something that too many people don't do anymore. Cook at home, together. Whether you are sharing the Blue Apron preparations with your significant other, your family, or your friends, you're sharing the experience. The value of that may be hard to determine, but it is undeniable. So many good things happen when you use Blue Apron, but don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Blue Apron is giving you the chance to experience their fantastic food by giving you 3 meals for free, including free shipping. All you have to do is go to blueapron.com/MacVoices, place your order, and in a few days, a package will arrive at your door filled with free recipes and all the ingredients to make them. That's when you're going to find out how good Blue Apron is. Again, that's blueapron.com/MacVoices for 3 free meals and free delivery. Give it a try. You won't be sorry. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. Thanks to Blue Apron for their support of MacVoices. So we didn't just come here to talk about earbuds, although that's all we've done so far. But
of course not.
We have to catch up with some of your other projects, your books, and what's coming up.
I just spilled some beer on my desk, so
I'm sorry about that.
Cleaning up my mess. Well, it bubbled over. It's very, very bubbly stuff.
So, first of all, let's catch up with any books that we've missed, which it sounds like we've missed a couple.
Oh yeah. Here's the whole collection of Wiley books. Every year we revise all these books. So I wonder if are those backwards for you?
No,
they're backwards for me. I can't read them, but yeah. I happen to know that this is macOS Sierra for Dummies, iPhone for Dummies, 10th edition, and iPad for Dummies, 9th edition. This year's models. They're all out now. You can order them at your favorite bookseller or ebook seller. I think they're about $25 each.
Okay, great. So the Dummies book tradition continues.
As far as I know, last time I talked to my agent, she said in March we'll be making our plans for the next edition. So I'm pretty sure we're doing them again. It's just going to be one of those things we do every year, like Christmas and New Year's. Just I slot it in my calendar in the summer, and
that means they're selling, and that means there's a need for them, and they fill a need. So
they're my babies. These are books. I have to say, while I don't put that much new material in each time, because how much new stuff really is there in each version of iOS? But these books have been well vetted. iPhone for Dummies is in its 10th edition. That means that we've reviewed the stuff we wrote about how to use the phone and how to send a text, and all those things that we've been doing since version 1 have been reviewed 10 times. If somebody didn't understand it, we heard from them and it's been reworded. And if we didn't reword it well enough, we heard from readers and we reworded it some more. But most times in a tech book, you don't have the opportunity to fix it. It's like it comes out and 18 months later it's out of date and that's the end of it. In this case, every year I get a new opportunity to, fix whatever wasn't quite right. And I keep notes. Each of those books back there, the ones that are sitting behind me, are my, what I call my research copies. So when I get an email from somebody and they've got a valid point, I print it and put it in there in the right chapter. And then when I go to update the book, I look at it and go, so I had 2 readers that said they didn't understand what I was talking about when I said this. So how could I reword it? So these things have been, I think iPad's in its 9th edition. macOS Sierra is the 12th macOS 10 edition of the same book.
Wow.
So they're very polished and very refined. And, the problem with books like that is everybody expects them to have everything. And at 430 pages, that's just not possible. So at this point, if I want to add something new, I have to find something old and delete it. And there's nothing, it's like there's not a lot of flab in any of those books. So it's a challenge. It's kind of like a puzzle. But I'm really happy to say that my next book, which is really what I came here to talk about today, my next book could be any length I want because it's an ebook. I don't have that publisher mandated page count thing. So if it took 460 pages, not 425 pages, I could do that. No problem. Well, if I can tell the whole story in 260 pages, then I can do that. And the publisher's not going to say, no, add another 60 pages, even if there's not 60 pages worth of stuff to say. Well, I'm serious. These things are a formula, and they have to be the right length. And there's a lot of dictates to doing a book for a major publisher, especially one that's in a series like Dummies. So this book, my next book, is called Working Smarter for Mac Users. I think I told you about my website and the newsletter last time, but I send you the beta. I think I sent you a link to the beta if you want to take a look at it. It's a whole different thing for me. It's 10 or 11 years ago, I found out I have ADD, and that's why I have so much trouble sitting and writing, and why it's always, my whole life has been such a challenge to me. And I didn't realize it was because of brain chemistry until maybe 10 or 15 years ago. But since I found that out, it's like I've turbocharged my productivity because I'm aware of it. It's like becoming aware of it caused me to become like I'm like the Terminator for productivity now. It's like everything I look at and think, how could I do that faster or easier? And so it occurred to me one day that this is a fertile area for a book. And I pitched this book to publishers. And, they wanted, well, could you make it more app-oriented, or could you do this, and most of them didn't even make an offer on it. And I decided, you know what, this is the book I want to write. And I don't want anybody to tell me anything about it, like how long it should be or what it should or shouldn't cover. So I hired Brian as my editor and started a company. The company's called Working Smarter for Productions, LLC.
Okay.
I'm the only officer. I'm the only employee. But it's a new company, and we're publishing this book. And then after the book comes out, we're going to do I talk about the royal we. It's me. We're going to have a course. Of course, it's going to be me doing a course. But I say we, so it sounds like we have a company. Working Smarter for Productions.
Okay, so I want to go down that path, but I want to back up for a second because I'm kind of intrigued. So if you discovered that you're ADD and now you recognize it, does the fact that you know it help you focus? Do you adjust your working life so that maybe you're doing things in shorter bursts so you can move around and maintain focus for a shorter time and then move over here?
All of the above. All of the above. I learned I got some therapy when I found out. I was in group therapy with a bunch of people who were like me, adults who discovered that they had ADD. I've had it my whole life. I mean, you can look back at my report cards in grade school and see that I had what today is called ADD. But being aware helped me to learn coping strategies. That's the thing. Is before I was aware, I didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't know that I should have coping strategies. I just knew that it took me way longer to do stuff than I thought was reasonable. And when I, started to figure out how to look at that objectively, it's the rabbit holes, baby. It's the rabbit holes. You sit in front of a Mac, there's rabbit holes right there behind the screen, and they're always calling to you. It's like it doesn't matter what your rabbit holes are. Mine, any movie involving lions and small prey, anything with little kids like falling and rolling and doing somersaults. I'm big on cat movies. I could spend an hour looking. I don't even like cats, but funny cat movies. You get me started. Shopping. I can go to Sweetwater and an hour will pass while I look at guitars and I look at basses that I don't need or want. It's like, why did I do that? And that's the thing is now I recognize these things and I have some stuff in the book that actually will monitor for you. You can say, don't let me go to Sweetwater when I'm working. Don't let me go to Amazon when I'm working. Don't let me go to Facebook when I'm working. You can tell it what sites you want to block, and it'll block things that are your rabbit holes. I like to believe that I'm past that now that I know I can resist most of the time, and I do. And part of it is working in small chunks, 25 minutes. I do Pomodoro technique, 25-minute chunks of work. But during those 25 minutes, I pretend my butt is glued to the chair. I literally pretend my butt is glued to the chair. I'm not allowed to get up. I don't allow myself to get up. And in fact, I try to keep my fingers on the keyboard and the mouse for 25 minutes so that I really am producing. And by doing that, I find that I do, twice as much work as I used to do in the same amount of time, because I'm working for 25 minutes uninterrupted without getting distracted, without, the thing is, I did some research and it takes anywhere from 15 to 40 minutes to get back into the zone when you were, focused and what I call in the zone, when you're cooking, when the words are just flying out of your fingertips and the sentences are popping onto the screen almost as fast as you can think of them, and everything is just so. And then somebody calls you from the door and wants to talk, and you have to answer a question, and that breaks your concentration. You don't just sit down and go back in the zone. It takes you 5, 10, 15, 20, even 40 minutes to get back to that place you were at. So by going in these 25-minute sprints and trying to achieve zonalness during those 25 minutes every time, and turning off, I put my Mac on Do Not Disturb, my phone on Do Not Disturb. I hang a Do Not Disturb sign on my door, and I try to get 25 minutes where I really am not interrupted. And because of that, I get stuff done. It used to take me till 11, 12, 1 in the morning every night to get everything done that was on my, mental list of things that needed doing today. And I just thought I was busy. I thought I just did a lot every day. But it turned out when I analyzed what I was doing, a lot of it was hanging out in rabbit holes and calling it work. I can call anything research. I can justify anything I do at the Mac as research. Anything, even that. So, I have to be realistic with myself. I can't just go surf off to a website and spend a half hour looking at guitars and say I'm researching websites, or I could say it, but I've learned not to. And I've learned that, that when I'm in my 25 minutes, I try not to touch anything that's not directly involved with the task at hand. And every morning I make a list. I've got a thing I call a super plan. I made these little worksheets. They're in the book, and I'll send you a link if you want. You can just download this and print them. But they're just a little place for you to put your most important tasks. So I say 3 most important tasks. I say every day there are 3 things at least that I got to get done, that I'll be really upset if I don't cross off the list. So I isolate those. I get them on the list in the morning. And then I break my day down by the hour. So, see how I've got hours down there? Mm-hmm. And each hour gets 2 Pomodoros, 25 minutes each. So 50 minutes out of each hour, in theory, I'm working. I don't usually really do it that much. It's more like 2 Pomodoros every maybe 90 minutes with, let's call it controlled rabbit holing in between. It's like I will check my mail or I will look at a website, but I'll say, all right, but I got to start another work session in 7 minutes. And I'll set a timer, and in 7 minutes, I'll go back to work. And by doing that, I get done by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I'm done. Everything that was on the list, and usually more. And because I don't spend a lot of time doing all those things that used to chew up 15 minutes here and 30 minutes there, and then I'd play a little pinball, and I'd have to do the racing game a little because it relaxes me, and I just stopped doing all that stuff, and making these 25-minute work sessions kind of a habit. And the book talks about how to make a habit, how to break a habit, and how some of these things you don't even notice you're doing. It's like most people, if you asked them where do they waste all their time, they wouldn't be able to tell you. But if you stood behind them all day, you'd watch them and go, well, you spent 45 minutes on Facebook before 9 o'clock this morning. And I see people do it all the time. And you go, well, what's your rabbit hole? I don't know.
Bob, what do you do in the way of Pomodoro method apps? Mac or iOS or whatever, or do you?
I use a Mac. I'm using a Mac app now, but basically my advice is it doesn't matter what Pomodoro app you use, and you don't even need a Pomodoro app. All you need is something that can time. You can say Siri. I won't do it.
Yeah.
hey, lady.
Yeah.
Set a timer for 25 minutes. Yeah, I can't say either of their names or my whole office lights up.
Understood. Mine too, and a lot of our listeners too. So
I know, and sometimes when I do user group meetings, I like to stand at the microphone and say, "Hey, you know who?"
Yeah.
And then listen to the audience go, "Ding, ding, 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 ding."
Yeah.
Sometimes I say, "Hey, you know who?" Erase my.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Well, you know she won't do that, but it starts a nice buzz at the user group meetings.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we kind of circled around the book a little bit. So where does the book stand in production as far as when can people get it and how do they go about getting it?
Right now, you can order it. You can pre-order the PDF, or I've got a special deluxe version that I will mail you. I invented something very cool. This is the autographed version, right? So here's the cover art, right? And then you flip it open, and it's a USB drive.
Okay.
8 gig drive, right? And I'll autograph the back for you, Chuck. My friend Chuck, whatever you want, And then I'll mail this to you USPO, so you could order this, or you can order the PDF delivered via email now. In about 3 weeks, I think, you'll be able to buy it at the iBook store, the Kindle store, the Nook store, and you'll be able to buy a printed copy, I think. I haven't figured out how print on demand works, but you can bet I'm not going down and ordering 1,000 copies of printed books. That's part of the problem with printed books is they're very expensive to print and ship and return, and I don't want inventory, so it's mostly an ebook. Plus, it won't be a really good printed book. It's got movies, and it's got pictures that blow up when you click them. So a lot of the pictures show detail, but when you click them, it shows the detail in context. Or in some cases, the picture's small, and when you click it, it enlarges so you can read the text. Things like that I can't do in a printed book. So you really want the ebook. And you can order that now at workingsmarterformacusers.com.
So I want to point out here, you are the first person, at least that I know of, who has figured out a way to autograph an ebook.
I thought that was pretty slick.
I like that.
I was looking for the way it happened was these are what's going in the press kit. So I needed something I could mail out in a press kit. I wanted to send a physical object to people. I thought, if I'm going to send this to writers, I want them to open up an envelope and touch something. If I email them a link to my book, 2/3 of them won't even open it. But if I send them something clever like that, right, I think I could see most people wanting to check that out.
Yeah.
So I ordered these mostly for PR, and then when I was doing the pre-sale, I realized that some people might prefer to order a physical product. And then I thought, well, we can add value to it by autographing it. And I have to charge more because these cost me, $7, something like that. So, I have to charge more for them. I figure if I put an autograph on it, it won't hurt so much.
Sure.
I've sold a few. That really shocked me because I did it kind of thinking, I'm selling autographed ebooks. Is that funny? And I just kind of thought as a lark, I'll put them up there. I was really going to use them all for PR. But a few people have bought them. And the more I think about it, the more I think, hey, that's great. Now I have a premium item. I have a book and like the Stephen King elegant slipcover version for $10 more. I buy Stephen King books with some of his collectible books that he does for the smaller presses. Mm-hmm. I buy with a special slipcover. And I buy 2 copies so that one of them can be unopened when I auction it on eBay one day. So somebody's going to order 2 of those.
Yes, and
keep one in the plastic.
Keep one just in case. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I like it. So this is a book. Help me pin it down. Is it methodologies? Is it apps?
I'll tell you what. I say that I'm looking for the little breakdown. Here it is. I say that working smarter is a three-legged stool. Okay, there are three disciplines that all have to be addressed for you to really become hyper uber productive. One is efficiency. That is doing things the fastest, easiest way. Okay, so that's one leg. The second leg is managing your, people talk about managing your time, but it's really managing your activities. You can't manage time. Time is a constant. 1,440 minutes in a day, you can't manage that. You can manage what you do with it. So you manage your activities, right? That's the second leg. The third leg is banish procrastination, because all of us like to look at what we have to do and cherry pick the easiest or most fun thing and do it first. And a lot of times do something unproductive because it's in front of us or it's convenient or somebody's around that wants to do that. You need to learn that when there's work to be done, sometimes you have to just go do the work first and use the thing that you were going to go do as your carrot and stick thing, you know? So we talk about carrot and stick later, but the third is banish procrastination. So banish procrastination, manage your activities / time, and improve your efficiency. You do all three of those things, you become what did I call it? Like a raging thunder lizard of productivity. And if you ignore one of those legs, you have kindling, you have firewood. You know, your stool is more like junk wood. So that's kind of how it works. And not surprisingly, the book is broken into three parts. The first one is improve your efficiency, do things better, faster, and more elegantly. The second one is manage your time and your activities, you know, get a handle on planning your day. And the third section is entirely about how to beat procrastination, how to banish it from your life completely. I'm not going to say I don't do it anymore. I do, but nowhere near the volume I used to. You know, it's like I used to be a world champion. Now I allow myself a little procrastination every now and then, but it doesn't waylay me anymore. I don't end up at 11 o'clock going, how could I have only written half a page today?
We all do it. I mean, you know, I think it's very much human nature, and it does take, you have to find the right method of discipline, whatever it is, whether it's Pomodoro or whether it's, like you said, gluing yourself to the seat or whatever.
The first step is to acknowledge it, you know, to say, I lose a lot of time every day, and really I could get out. See, my whole mission statement is learn how to be more efficient so you can do your thing in less time, so you have more time to do things you like to do. You know, if I can get out of the office by 6 o'clock instead of 11 o'clock, that leaves me 5 hours of really good time to do something I enjoy rather than sit in my office moaning about how little I got done today.
Yeah. Bob, do you cover specific productivity apps, or is it this more a methodology kind of thing?
Both. There are parts where it doesn't. See, one of the things I learned when I was doing all my initial research on productivity was most of what I read had nothing to do with my Mac and later my iPhone and iPad, and, you know, really tools that I think could be used very effectively to enhance your productivity. Nobody was looking at them as tools for productivity. Like one technique said you should journal this, and the other. And so I asked the instructor, well, can I do that on my computer? And no, this has, well, and it turns out now I like to do certain things longhand, but I like to do it because it feels good to me, you know, and I recommend to people, you do it the way that feels good to you. I like making my list with a pen and on a piece of paper like that. Some people like doing it in an app. Fine. It doesn't matter. The important thing is that you have a plan, that you think about what you're going to do with the hours of today, and that you map the things that need to be done to chunks of time. It's like if I look at something and say that's going to take 3 hours, I just give the whole morning to it. And if I finish in 2 hours, hey, that's great. Now I moved the whole day up. Maybe I'll get out of the office at 3:30 if I want to. And if I get to 3:30 or 4 o'clock and everything is done, then I can decide to go take the dog for a walk or go shopping or do whatever, or work some more. But I tend to tell people don't work some more. reward yourself. If you finished everything on your list by 4 or 5 o'clock, be happy,
Yeah.
Because there's always more work. There's always more work, and I think you can burn yourself out. If I know when I found out I had ADD, I was very burnt out, just from year after year of lots of deadlines. I never miss a deadline, but boy, making some of them, that last minute effort. And I know I don't do my best work when I do it all in the last week. If I have a project that should be working on for 6 weeks, and I do 75% of it the last week, that's not my best work. So I've learned about quotas and dosing out my work. If I have a 400-page book, I divide the number of days until my deadline by how many pages, and I say, okay, that means I have to write 5 pages a day if I'm going to make my deadline. And that's really good, because if you don't do that, then you get halfway through and you go, oh my gosh, I've only got 30 pages done. You don't have any way of keeping track of it. So a quota, that's pretty helpful to me. And that's in the book too. All of these things. It's really kind of cool, because then there's a lot of stuff about apps, and of course all of our favorites. There's LaunchBar and or Alfred. There's snippets. You got Text Expander and or Type It For Me. Macros with Keyboard Maestro. Those are things that are in this book because I believe those things can help you do more work in less time. So there's a whole bunch of those. There's a whole bunch of Pomodoro-y things, a bunch of noise-making apps, to drown out the ambient noise around you. Even some that claim to be, scientifically designed to make you focus better. Take that with however many grains of salt you like.
Yeah, but
personally, I like to listen to Deep Purple at high volume when I'm writing.
Amen. But Bob, there's so much wisdom in what you said. I was going to piggyback on and say, it has to work for you, but just the idea that you have a plan, that automatically introduces a sense of discipline into it. And it's okay if you decide to change the plan. If you find that, making the list longhand is not for you, it's better to have it on your phone. Great. If it's doesn't work on your phone, do it longhand. Great. Just
whatever.
Find it. And
I'm not selling the way to do it. I'm selling that you should do it somehow. And in a lot of these things, like the whole Pomodoro thing, you don't need an app. You don't need a special thing. You don't need to make it 25 minutes if 25 is too long. Make it 20 if 25 isn't long enough. Make it 30. Just figure out what works for you, but try to get these focused pieces of time. And when you start doing it, you start to realize how powerful it really is. In 4 Pomodoros a day, or 5, so that's 2.5 hours, I do a whole day's work. What used to be a whole day's work. And if I really put my mind to it, I can do what used to take me all day by 1 or 2 in the afternoon. If I just buzz all morning, if I start at 7 and Pomodoro straight through with 10-minute breaks, by 1 o'clock, I've done easily what would have taken me 16 hours 10, 15 years ago, 20 hours. And I never have to stay up late to meet a deadline because I'm never that far behind anymore. The quota part keeps me on track. I check off at the end of every week, where am I supposed to be? Where am I? Do I have to, I have to adjust it. The quota was 5, now it's 6 because I'm behind. So for the next 2 weeks, I got to do 6 pages a day. And that's good to know, because if I know I got to have 6 pages, then I can say to myself, then I need 4 pages by noon, because I run out of steam after lunch. I don't have the same energy. So I have 4 or 5 pages by noon. Okay, I could do that. It means I can't do anything else in the morning. So my list would just say, finish chapter 7, squiggle right until noon. That's fine. That means just Pomodoro after Pomodoro till that task is done. But if it's a most important task, I really have to get it done today. And in the old days, I would say, it can wait till tomorrow. And I'd do half of it and then get something shiny would float by and I'd, down the rabbit hole.
I love the fact that you are writing this book from the perspective of someone that has recognized that he has this particular issue, and you're very upfront about it.
So many people tell me that they think that they have it now that they've read the introduction and the prelude and, just the beginnings of the book. I said, you know what? That sounds so much like me. I get distracted. I do the rabbit hole thing all the time. I'm always procrastinating. I procrastinate all the time. I don't even think about it. I just am doing it all the time. And to those people, I say, I'm your man. Yeah. I think I got this figured out. I've written 81 books, and there's just no way I could have done this had I not come up with some of these working smarter strategies for just making it easier and faster to do the things I do. And I talk about mail. There's a whole chapter on email because it's one of the biggest time sucks in today's society. And if you don't get a handle on it, it'll eat you up. You'll spend 2 hours a day just managing email. And really, who needs that? It's like I can do what needs to be done with my email in, let's say, 40 minutes a day. And if I can't, I'll do one more Pomodoro, but I'm mad about it because I really shouldn't have to spend that much time on mail. And I use SaneBox, which makes it a lot better. Not everybody's going to pay for something to triage their mail for them, but I think it's a wise investment. It's like $8 a month or $5 a month. And really, my inbox is much more manageable now. I look at my inbox and there's maybe 20 messages in the morning rather than 200. And it means I can deal with the stuff that needs to be dealt with and not spend a lot of time looking through and sifting and, did I miss anything in that folder? Is there something here I really should have done something about? SaneBox, I'm pretty confident when I look through my inbox that that's all the stuff I need to see. Later, I can go through the news and the newsletters and the Sane Later stuff from, people I don't know and PR people. And, those are things that I don't need right now. And so having them not in my inbox is worth $10 a month or $8 a month to me. Easy. Because then I don't see them and they don't distract me till later when I'm ready.
Yeah. You're ready to be distracted.
No, but that means a lot to me.
No.
Because it means that I get done with my mail. Because the stuff that's in those other folders, in the news folder and the Sane Later folder, I don't have to get to today. Okay. There's just no reason. I'll look through it to make sure that there's nothing I'm overlooking, but I don't have to deal with any of it today. When I have 5 minutes, I can delete all of it real quick. But, until then, I don't have to worry that there's something in there that should have been taken care of. That stuff's in my inbox, and I really find SaneBox pretty useful. I would recommend it.
So before we run out of time, we've got the book now, and the book is coming, but you also have kind of bigger plans for working smarter. And
I like this topic. Yeah, I like this topic. And, since it's my company and the company's working smarter, I think there's lots more stuff I can do. I'm not sure what the next thing will be. I'm pretty sure I could do a working smarter, maybe not as deep a book as this, but about a handheld device, about your iPhone. So I think there's a lot of things that you could use your iPhone for that people don't think of. Like when you're waiting in line, this is one of my favorites. I pull out my iPhone and triage mail. I'll empty folders while I'm waiting in line at the grocery store. I'll be swiping, get rid of that. Boom, 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 boom. In 5 minutes in line, I can empty out, 30, 40, 50 emails. And that's just great use of time, I think. I listen to podcasts when I drive. When I go anywhere, the first thing I do is turn on a podcast. If I'm going to be in the car more than 5 minutes, I want to nourish my brain. In the old days, I would have only listened to loud rock and roll. But now in the car, I try to make that learning time, so it's not downtime. When I want to listen to loud rock and roll, I kind of do it purposefully at my desk or in my living room. Used to be the car was where I listen to all my music, but now I try to make it a learning experience. Try to, get something out of that dead time.
Yeah. Yeah, I do the same thing. And it almost becomes a way of life. Not the podcast thing, but just the making use of every moment. I listen to podcasts when I'm doing the laundry because, that's completely wasted time. Unless, of course, you count clothes as clean clothes is not wasted. But so I can do double duty. And it actually, Exactly.
And that has really, things like that, when I'm like doing the dishes, emptying the dishwasher, I'll pop the earbuds out and start a podcast. It's 5-10 minutes, but I wouldn't have done it with other headphones because they wouldn't have connected, and I'd have ended up a 5-minute, 10-minute rabbit hole trying to get them to connect. This, I just walk out, open them up, pop them in the ears, and listen to a podcast.
There's so much to be said for that just works. And that applies to the AirPods, it applies to your Mac, it applies to your iPhone, it applies to so many things that if you don't have to mess around with it, if it just, you can easily accomplish what it is you use that particular tool or device for, man, you can get a lot done fast. So.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
I just gave up Crash Plan because it was sucking too much time when it wasn't working. It's like they have terrible support, and a lot of times the solution is to kill their kernel thing that's running in the background and start it up again. And I was doing this like for half hours at a time and not getting it to connect and back up, and it was giving me error messages. And at some point I looked at it and I said, I have something else that does this and just works, Backblaze. I'll just, I was paying for both of them because I'm Mr. Redundancy. Dr. Redundancy is my other nickname. But I was paying for both of them, $59 a year, I think, for each, or $49 maybe for Backblaze. But I thought, well, redundancy is good. I'll pay for both. But then Crash Plan started sucking time. I don't care about the $59, but I was spending too much time trying to figure out why it wasn't working today. And I said, I don't need this. It's just not efficient. So I got rid of Crash Plan. And Crash Plan's great. It's a great app. When it works, it's awesome. And the basic functions of it are free. You only have to pay if you want to use their cloud thing and some of the other stuff. But if it goes wonky, it's not fun to fix. Mm-hmm. It's a Java app, and it's got a console, and you have to type commands in the console, and it's just icky.
Yeah.
So, that was one of those things, was it just was wasting too much of my time. And sometimes you have to look at something and say, it may be okay, but if it's going to waste a lot of my time, I can't deal with it. So that's why I've got a bag full of wireless headsets. There must be 6 headsets in there.
At least.
And none of them is bad, but none of them is as appealing to me as these because they just pop out and work. I'm pretty sure when I put them in, I'm not going to have to pull my phone out and tinker before I hear something.
Yeah.
And when I go for a walk, the last thing I want is to spend the first block playing in the Bluetooth system preference pane. Or no, I'm sorry. It's a setting on an iPhone. I get them confused. I still call them control panels, actually.
Easy to do. So one more time, the website is
workingsmarterformacusers.com. Let's see if we can get a close-up of that there.
Yeah, okay. That should work. And the book is ready for pre-order, and that's where you're going to be able to keep
it's
up
in production.
with
Yes,
everything.
it'll be in about 3 weeks. I think, by the end of February, I expect it to be at all of the ebook stores as well as available from my website. And you'll always be able to buy the PDF version without any, copy, whatever they call it, security, whatever they put on ebooks, Kindle, and I'll always sell you just a regular PDF from my website. And in fact, that may be available a little sooner than the other stuff because I think it takes a while for it to filter through and become available in the Kindle store. So I may have mine sooner. And of course, if you pre-order mine, as soon as I have them, I'll be emailing them and snail mailing them if you order the autograph copy.
Yeah, don't forget the autograph. Yeah. Great. Bob, it's always good to see you. Thank you so much for the time and for such a candid approach to this book. I really applaud you for that. I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people and maybe make a lot of us feel better about ourselves.
Well, I hope it makes a lot of people happy because it makes me happy to not be in the office until 11 o'clock struggling to get stuff done. It's just I really believe there are a lot of people out there that are going to look at this book and go, I never really thought of it, but boy, I do waste a lot of time. And if I thought about it, I probably could get stuff done a lot faster. I could either do a lot more work, or I could do the work and be done sooner so I could go do something I like to do. But either way, a lot of this stuff, there's just no reason not to, like typing. If you're not typing 50, 55 words a minute, you ought to, there's a whole section on it, but go train, because that's the easiest way to be more productive, is to type more characters per minute, right? If you're trying to write something, if you can write it twice as fast physically, then you've doubled your output. And that's an easy thing to do. And so I see people that type 12 words a minute or 14 words a minute, hunt and peck and just very lackadaisical. And they're asking me how they can become more productive. One of the real easy ones is learn to type better. It doesn't take very long. You could do it in a week. You could triple your typing speed, and think about how many minutes you spend with your fingers and the keyboard. So if you could cut that by 50% by typing way faster, wouldn't that be nice?
Sounds good to me.
Well, there's lots of that in the book. So everybody go pre-order a copy.
Bob, we'll talk to you again soon.
Well, thanks.
Thank you, as always. It's a lot of fun. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. We will be Mac Noodles on MacVoices. I want to make sure I get the proper identification here. We'll be back soon with more from Bob, from the other Mac Notables, and from everybody else in the Mac community that deserves to be heard. Until the next time, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes, links to subscribe, and to connect with Chuck on Twitter, Google+, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, SoundCloud, the MacVoices blog, the MacVoices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter, and on MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard that helps you do more with your Apple tech. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.